Forward to get to the gap. With MagMongoSlade. Shoot. He don't miss.
Also, not a very good episode of Smackdown. I mean, as usual, this thing was brutal, man. What a brutal show. Have mercy. We're going to get through this thing as quickly as possible because I don't really want to talk about it. All right. First, however, we got to do news and notes. So, TKO is teaming up with some Arabs to create a boxing promotion, which is long overdue. There needs to be some sort of disruption in the boxing space. I know boxers make a ton of money, but usually only a certain number of boxers that make a lot of money. Most boxers don't make a damn thing. Most boxing cards and boxing fights aren't worth a damn thing. For probably 2 fights a year are worth anything when it comes to boxing. Most boxing fights aren't worth a damn thing. Do I think this will be a success with Nick Khan and Dana White working together? Well, the United States has something called the Ali Act that would kind of stand in the way of what they're trying to do here, which means that they're probably going to start putting on a lot of these events overseas. And that's probably going to get things started. One of the many issues that we have is MMA has been skirting the Ali Act. What is the Ali Act? Well, the Ali Act pretty much prevents there from being a governing body in boxing. You know, it was put in place because of Muhammad Ali and a lot of black boxers, or boxers in general, who had pretty much been ripped off by promoters. As promoters, you know, they decide who the champion is and who the guy has to fight and all that kind of stuff. So it pretty much put a lot of the control back in the hands of the boxer. So what happens is the boxers became famous. And so then individual boxers can make a ton of money. Oscar De La Hoya, Floyd Mayweather, etc. And there is no promotion. None of the titles actually mean anything. The belts are just for the ego, because you can get the money without the belts, you know? So typically that's how the Ali Act works. There has been some discussions about getting the Ali Act fitted to MMA, which will of course destroy the UFC. Just almost completely, it just wouldn't exist anymore because there wouldn't be any governing bodies. It would just be all these autonomous fighters trying to come up with individual contracts to fight each other, which is what how boxing is now. So in order for this to work, they're going to have to need a home base outside of the United States in order to get this thing to work. And it seemed like, I think the guy is Saudi, the Arab guy, he's Saudi, right? So maybe that's why they decided to get into that there, because it's not really going to work in the United States. But it's going to be a tough road to hoe to get boxers that people want to see, to be able to build cards that people might want to see. That's going to be tough. I'm glad that Nick Khan is going to be doing something other than getting his fingers involved in pro wrestling. Now, if he can only keep fucking bull riding and power slap off the WWE YouTube account, which I guess they're going to completely destroy the damn thing, because they started up the WCW vault, and they're probably going to start the ECW vault, which I've already kind of seen. They don't have anything up on it yet because they haven't fully launched the site yet, but it's going to be up eventually. But this also says a lot that Peacock has all this stuff. Like, you can watch Starrcade 93 or whatever on Peacock. Why would you watch it on YouTube? Well, this tells people what should have been told way back in the gap when it was a WWE network, is that nobody watches this old stuff. So they can give it away. They're giving away all the old WCW and ECW stuff because nobody's paying for that anyway. Everybody's paying for the new stuff. So they're going to give all the old stuff away. And probably, I wouldn't be surprised if there's not a WWF Attitude Era vault, you know, or whatever, going by the eras. Because nobody's going to watch this stuff on Peacock, and it's incredibly hard to find. And this makes it a lot easier to watch shows, if we're being honest. Because now we at least know that the show is probably on YouTube. So the WWE YouTube account is hosting pretty much everything except WWE now. They need to stop doing that, but they won't. Because they want to have their cross promotion, which isn't really cross promotion because you never see WWE stuff on, bull riding or whatever. It's all about taking some of their sagging brands and plastering it all over WWE. Which I'm not surprised about, if we're being honest. I'm just not surprised about that at all. Anyway, it ought to be interesting, but it's going to take them years and years and years to get a boxing thing working. Because they got to get some fighters that people want to pay to see. And I don't think that they're going to be able to do that at this point in time. Most of the boxers right now can make plenty of money without having to go through TKO. So it's going to be a tough deal trying to find boxers that need that boost, that need the promoters, or want the championship, that the championship has any sort of prestige. It's going to take years for that to happen. So they might be starting it today, but you might not see anything really get off the ground for another 3 or 4 years. Okay, so let's talk about the Hall of Fame. It was announced that the natural disasters, earthquake and typhoon, are going to be going to the WWE Hall of Fame, and also Lex Luger. Now, earthquake and typhoon. Earthquake and typhoon, man, that's a bit of a stretch. I'm not even going to lie to you. It's a bit of a stretch. I know Fred Ottman is Cody Rhodes' uncle, and wrestling has more than one royal family. So that's probably a sneak, all right? Typhoon being in the Hall of Fame is a sneak. Maybe Earthquake deserves it, though. So John Tenta almost definitely deserves to be in the WWF Hall of Fame. Pretty big player in the last waning days of Hulkamania, starting in, I think 1990, maybe 1989. Really talented guy. Probably peaked too soon. Unfortunately, he was so young when he peaked that you never really got to see him grow. And then he spent so much time in WCW under these various stupid gimmicks. And it's really unfortunate that Earthquake is one of the huge could-have-beens in pro wrestling. And Fred Ottman, who played Typhoon, a.k.a. Tugboat, a.k.a. the Shockmaster. He has no business in the WWF Hall of Fame. I mean, it ought to be fun to listen to him tell stories about being the Shockmaster and all that, but I don't think anybody really is clamoring to know about the career of Fred Ottman. I don't think anybody cares. But Lex Luger, absolutely. Should have been in years ago, but Lex had the drug stuff, the stuff with Elizabeth dangling over his head, but he seems to have fought through it. He's got a tremendous amount of sympathy because now he's in a wheelchair. Despite the fact that he's in a wheelchair, he's still incredibly cheery and upbeat. And the announcement for Lex Luger legitimately made me happy. To find out that his mom wanted this to happen for him. And he kept saying, well, maybe next year. Maybe next year. And now she's finally, she's passed away and it's finally happening. It's like, wow, that's incredibly powerful. And look, I know that the Lex Express didn't quite work out, but you can't, if you ever have watched Lex and WCW in the late 80s, or even in the mid 90s, when he went back to WCW, you got to realize the guy was a superstar. The WWF run didn't work, but his WCW stuff is unimpeachable. He was incredible. He was really good, and super at getting over. Looked great too. So Lex Luger absolutely deserves to be in the WWF Hall of Fame. No questions asked. The only thing I'm saying, Michelle McCool, kind of a sneak. I get it. The Divas era, people don't really respect it too much, but she was actually one of the decent wrestlers during the Divas era. I know now they're going through it with this LFG thing because she's replacing Mickie James on that show. And they're saying Undertaker suggested it, even though they're not saying that he said that directly, only that he wants Michelle on the show. And so they took Mickey off, which I guess was their decision. Who knows? Who cares? I'm not watching that show anyway, so I don't really give a shit. But I understand how people would think Fred Ottman and Michelle McCool are sneaks. But Earthquake, absolutely. Lex Luger, absolutely. All right, let's get into the rest of this show. Randy Orton came out, says that Cena was always on top, but now he's a bottom for The Rock, which is cold-blooded. I'm pretty sure Cena is somewhere laughing out loud at at that. Then he starts talking about Kevin Owens, which is his actual feud, saying that they had something in common, doing incredibly horrible things in order to get ahead. But he doesn't like Kevin Owens as a man because Kevin Owens' veins run on jealousy. And it was never enough for him to have the great career that he's had. He's always wanted more. And he was jealous of Cody Rhodes. He was jealous of Sami Zayn. And now the voices in Randy Orton's head have told him to kick Kevin Owens in the head and to make Pat McAfee the second best punter in WWE. Okay. Solid promo from Randy. I think it was too long, though. I think he was out there a little long, in order to get to this point. Building the storyline off of Kevin Owens being jealous. I would have gone with Kevin Owens is crazy. Obsessive is another one. Because I think that's pretty much what it is he's had this sort of obsession with the bloodline. And obsession with Roman Reigns. And that has led to him turning on his friends. I would have gone that route, but jealousy, okay, I guess so, if that's what you want to do. I'm not going to be interested in this match, though. It just feels mid-card. It doesn't feel like it's something Randy Orton should be involved with at WrestleMania. It's just whatever. Randy Orton's going to be wrestling Carmelo Hayes next week because of a Carmelo Hayes joke that took place on this show. Ought to be great to watch Carmelo take another loss. Whatever. Chelsea Green complained about discrimination, saying that she was being bullied. Tiffany Stratton got into it with Piper Niven, so they decided to have a match. And Tiffany Stratton defeated Piper Niven. I don't know why Tiffany's wrestling this, close to WrestleMania, and why she's not actually actively doing a story with Charlotte. I mean, that would make too much sense, I guess. So she's now wrestling in nothing matches with Piper Niven. Piper Niven, she's just a fat goof. Who cares? Charlotte attacked Tiffany Stratton after the match and put her in the figure eight. And then later on, Charlotte says that the women's division has gotten soft. And every time she leaves and has to come back, she has to remind people that nobody is in her league. So B-Fab strolled over and said nobody's interested in bowing down to Charlotte anymore. So Charlotte challenged her to a match next week. They put in a lot of hope and a lot of faith into B-Fab. I'm guessing this match is going to be pretty quick, because I don't think you want to put B-Fab in there. She wasn't that good last time we saw her, so I don't think you want to put her in there where she could potentially hurt Charlotte. So then there's that. But the fact that Charlotte and Tiffany Stratton don't have a feud at all, outside of Charlotte won at run at the Royal Rumble, and that's it. People are saying, oh, this is such a disappointment. It's like Triple H is booking it. That's why it's a disappointment. It has nothing to do with the girls involved. This storyline would be so much better if somebody who actually cared about dramatic storytelling took the reins. And yes, there is a weirdness to it due to Tiffany Stratton being better as a heel, and now she's positioned as the babyface. That is sort of weird, okay? But you still can do the same story with Charlotte as the heel, and they have to be able, they got to go there. They have to actually sit down and come up with a reason for these people to fight. Outside of the reason that they're fighting is Charlotte won the Royal Rumble. Okay, Put this match on first then, for God's sake. But the idea that everybody's supposed to build this thing up like a dream match was because there was a belief that there would be something deeper than, well, the title's going to be on the line and that's it. No, there needs to be more to it than that. I'm sorry, I hate to break it to you. But Triple H hasn't, he refuses for some reason. All right, now, when it comes to Piper Niven, she was suffering backstage, and Chelsea Green told her to get her big ass up. She needed her for something. Chelsea Green then gets confronted with Zelina Vega, who says she wants a championship match, even though she doesn't wrestle on the show, hasn't cut a promo on the show, hasn't done anything since she's been put on the show. She won a title shot. Huh? Anyway, Mia Yim gets her 4th championship match in a street fight. Chelsea Green is dressed like Cactus Jack. She's very entertaining. You know, her and Piper, they work together to do a coast to coast. It wasn't quite a coast to coast because Chelsea couldn't jump that far, so it was like it was close, but it wasn't quite coast to coast. It might have been coast to coastline or, you know, something like that. Anyway, the big finish. It seems like Mia Yim finally got the match won after doing a senton through the table atop Chelsea Green. Then a mysterious figure yanks Mia Yim out of the ring. Does a Canadian destroyer to Mia Yim on the chairs, and it's Alba Fire. Alba Fire wearing a pantsuit, and she's saluting Chelsea Green. So Alba Fire, who was in a tag team with Isla Dawn, they didn't know what to do with her. So they decided to throw her into the Chelsea Green storyline. And, so Chelsea Green is coming up with an administration. She's the president. She's the girl president at this point. And Piper Niven is the Secret Service. So who is Alba Fire going to be? The chief of staff or something like that? They're basically just doing JBL's gimmick. All right, that's pretty much it. Chelsea Green is creating a cabinet, right? So Alba Fire seems random. You know, it's extremely random. Because, like, we've never even seen Alba Fire and Chelsea Green in the same place. Let alone that their relationship is such that she wants to join this administration. But it is what it is. I can't complain because I can complain about the match because I never want to see Mia Yim wrestle Chelsea Green ever again. I do not want to see that match ever again. But I can't complain that they're going to keep the belt on Chelsea. I can't complain they want to do something with Alba Fire since they didn't release her. I can't complain about that. I'm guessing she's going to have to work her way out of this, but she's another work raider. Another Triple H hire. She got brought into NXT UK. She was champion forever over there, mostly because of the pandemic had shut down NXT UK for a long time. And so she was champion for like 300 days or some nonsense like that, with an asterisk because a lot of that time was shut down due to the pandemic. When she came over to NXT proper, she didn't do anything. So, but that was also during the time where Vince was about to take over NXT. So Triple H didn't really get a chance to get in there and do anything with her. But she's been on the main roster for like 2 or 3 years now. She hasn't done shit. I think she was a tag team champion once. She's barely featured on the show. She seems like another Zoe Stark, if you ask me. But whatever. I mean, just good in the ring. Not much in the way of personality. But hopefully this is going to change some things for her. We'll wait and see. Pretty Deadly defeated the Motor City Machine Guns and Los Garza to become the #1 contenders for the tag team titles. The tag team division is a mess. It is disgusting. And they did a vignette for Nick Aldis trying to explain it to us, and I just nodded off. All I know is that the Street Profits are wrestling for the belts next week against DIY. They probably should win. And then the winners of that match are going to end up wrestling Pretty Deadly at some point. I'm guessing all of these teams are going to likely end up at a ladder match or something like that for WrestleMania or the day before WrestleMania or something. Santos Escobar gives Los Garza a hard time for losing. And Angel and Santos walk off. And then Andrade actually approaches Humberto and tells him that he deserves better. And I'm like, okay, I'm interested in this. I think it was maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago. I was watching Royal Rumble like 2017 or something, right? It might have been 2018. And I was reminded of that series of matches between Humberto and Andrade, where they were really having good matches. And Andrade was United States champion, and they had like 4 matches or something like that. Like one of them was on Raw. The match I was watching was on the Royal Rumble show. Oh, it was Elimination Chamber, I believe it was. Then they had a match there too. They had a really good set of matches. And I remember that time where Vince was actually trying to make Humberto work. Like, he was really pushing him. He was in the middle of some really top level stuff. I think he was in the middle of that whole situation with Aleister Black and Seth Rollins and the eye poke and all that kind of stuff. I think Humberto was right smack dab in the middle of that too. The guy has an incredible amount of talent. English difficulty, okay? But I like Humberto. I don't know if they're going to talk about Andrade and Humberto being a tag team, which I'm not a fan of. I'm not a fan of that. But if they're going to just work together, maybe create some kind of Legado del Fantasma Civil War where Humberto tries to leave and Angel wants him to stay, and then all 4 of these guys end up going against each other, that could be interesting. It's still one of those things where all the Mexicans are fighting each other and working together, but it could be interesting, I suppose. So I'm interested in seeing where Humberto and Andrade's thing is going to go. Everybody else, though, I whatever. Pretty Deadly, I like Pretty Deadly. I've always said that. I think that they're fun characters, but they're not taken seriously, you know? So that's unfortunate. And Motor City Machine Guns, why did you hire them? Like, what did you bring these guys in for? They're not over. Nobody cares about them. I mean, just look at the crowd when the Motor City Machine Guns comes out. My God. You think they were at a funeral? Jesus Christ. You think they were in school? Waiting for the lecture to end. Jesus. Alright, and then we got our Tyler Perry scene in the middle of the show. Which, I'm not going to lie, I loved it. It was dramatic. It was over the top. I love the Bianca Belair and Naomi thing. It was fantastic. It was kind of cheesy, but I loved it. I thought it was great. So Bianca says she can't focus on her WrestleMania match because her friends are fighting, essentially. She called out Naomi because she wanted to ask Naomi if Naomi had attacked Jade. Naomi starts beating around the bush. Bianca's like, no, don't talk about anything except, did you attack Jade? Naomi says, look, you need to focus on winning the tag team titles back. You need to focus on winning that world title at WrestleMania. Who cares about Jade? Forget Jade. And now Bianca's more suspicious. And she starts pressing even more. And they start to get to arguing back and forth. And then Naomi says, okay, I'm going to tell you the truth. I always felt like Jade was piggybacking you. She was just riding your coattails. You know, she was slowing you down. And she said, I stood by and I watched you guys have your tag team division, tag team championships, and you guys were happy. And the long and the short of it is she felt left out. That she came back, she tried to assert herself, and it didn't really quite work out. And then ultimately she just admitted it, that she attacked Jade Cargill. And he says, I did it for you. I did it for us. And Bianca broke down in tears. I don't want to see you ever again. Said that she loves Naomi, but they're done. They can't be friends anymore. She's walking out. She turns her back on Naomi. She walks out. Naomi is yelling into the microphone, B, talk to me. What are you doing? And then she She has a breakdown. Says, I should have done it sooner. And said that she's tired of people turning on her, just like all the people on the fans are turning on her right now. Says Bianca is an ungrateful bitch. And I was like, ooh, that was a stiff one. It stopped Bianca in her tracks, too. She was like, what is this bitch talking to, you know? And as she's absorbing that, Jade Cargill gets out of the, I don't know, truck, van, Maserati, I don't know. But then she comes out of that thing, she storms to the ring. She stops temporarily to see if Bianca's going to do anything. Bianca's not going to do anything. She's just kind of like, go ahead, do what you're going to do. Jade marches to the ring. Naomi is not good at running away because she waited till the very last minute to run away. She got caught, and she got her ass kicked thoroughly again. Like, I don't know how many times this has happened now. Like, this has happened twice. And I can't think of any other time where a heel would just basically take an ass whooping. And why would you give it to them? Like, the whole point is to build anticipation. So Naomi should have escaped. That's what you would think, right? But there's more to it. As Jade was walking to the ring, I kept thinking in the back of my mind, is Bianca going to attack Jade from behind? And maybe that's what you're supposed to think. Like, especially from the way that it was shot. It was shot from the perspective that you couldn't see behind Jade. So if somebody was to run behind Jade and attack her, you wouldn't have been able to see it. But they didn't do that, which is great because Bianca shouldn't be a heel right now anyway. But then Jade pretty much beats the shit out of Naomi, and that's it. And it's like, well, did she get her comeuppance? I mean, she hit her in the head with a metal door. Now she's slammed her all over the place and hit her finish in the middle of the ring. What's the point of having the match? Well, this is where Naomi has to go and get some real friends. Now things are going to get interesting. So I love this. I thought this was fantastic. You know, Bianca as the person who was torn in two, and it's extra dramatic because she has something big for herself set up. So you want to think like, okay, you should be focusing on the title, focusing on the title at WrestleMania, not what these two jokers got going on. But at the same time, she's been friends with both of them. They've been a tight-knit group. They were a 6-person tag team at one point in time too. So it makes sense that she would be distracted by this and that she would be emotionally unstable. And it actually could help or hurt the character going to WrestleMania. That's an important piece of business right there. Because Elimination Chamber, they played on that a little bit, where she had to overcome her distraction in order to win that match. And now she went and got the distractions out of the way so that she could focus on that match. So that's fine. Only problem I had with, I just don't think Naomi should just be getting beat up. Like, she can't fight back at this point. Like, she tried to flee and it didn't work. But she's got to come back. She's going to spin the block with a little bit of help. And I think NXT is going to provide that help. It's got to be the Meta Girls, right? Because I think they did a decent job of, you know, bringing those girls onto the main roster, getting people to see them. And Lash Legend is a big girl. And Jade Cargill is a big girl. That could be something that we could actually use. So, a 3-on-1 Jade Cargill Naomi feud, it could work. It could work. So I mean, I'm interested. I'm infinitely interested. This is the kind of shit that I want from wrestling, right? This soap opera dramatic shit. This is what WWE is all about. This is what you should be doing. This is what you should be doing for Charlotte and Tiffany, if you can do that. Now, they don't have a deep history for you to play off of. That's why you have to create one. Right? You have to create that history so then you can create moments like this. This was the best thing they've done since the John Cena heel turn, which was literally a couple of days ago. Okay? Speaking of that, Everybody's talking about the John Cena heel turn, but I'm seeing that mean face of John Cena, that Clint Eastwood, get off my lawn face that John Cena has. It's the one render that they have of John Cena. So it's everywhere. Like that face, it's the one render that they have of John Cena. So it's everywhere. Like that face is literally everywhere. The angry soldier John Cena. This was hilarious. But double back to what I was saying before. Bianca Belair getting her male streak on was pretty good. I have to tell you, that was fun. The show went all downhill from there. Okay, the show just went off the rails from there. I'm going to speed run through this. Braun Strowman and Solo Sikoa had a disqualification because of Tama Tonga. This leads to Solo Sikoa being saved, and then Jacob Fatu fighting Braun Strowman again. It was less interesting this time than it was before. It was far more interesting at Saturday Night's main event when they did it the first time. Drew McIntyre, of course, attacked Damian Priest earlier in the night. McIntyre explained later that now he's got nothing left. So he's got nothing but violence. He's going to perpetrate that upon Damian Priest. He then has a match with Jimmy Uso, one of their best of 17. He defeated Jimmy Uso, and then he was attacked by Damian Priest, who says that he should have killed him because now he's going to kill McIntyre. He's going to kill him every week. I'm like, okie dokie. So these guys are definitely locked in. Another solidly mid-card match that probably should not be at WrestleMania. Get ready to go and get your nachos, your chips during this. It's crazy because both of these guys are former world champions. I have no interest in watching them wrestle. None. It's the same thing with Kevin Owens and Randy Orton. All these guys who are supposedly main event talent, I just have no interest in their match. Not enough spice, not enough intrigue. Especially when you compare it to all the other matches that have spice and intrigue at WrestleMania. The main event, LA Knight wins the United States Championship from Shinsuke Nakamura. Some shenanigans there with referee bumps and all that, but LA Knight finally got the belt back. Now what? You put the belt back on LA Knight. Now what? It's the same people that's going to challenge him for the belt that was there before. Melo, Andrade, Escobar, same people. Shinsuke Nakamura was a terrible United States champion, mainly because of how terrible the booking was. I mean, the booking of this thing was absolutely dreadful. My God. He disappeared for like 4 weeks, 6 weeks. He was gone. I don't think he defended against anybody other than LA Knight. It's similar to Chelsea Green, where I'm not sure Chelsea Green wrestled anybody other than Mia Yim in her entire title run so far. And we completely ignored the fact that Chelsea Green got beat on NXT. That got ignored. But whatever. Don't matter. Now, Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes had a promo. It was okay. It wasn't... I don't think it was strong enough. But it did what it was supposed to do. He said that he was Cena's driver for the first 2 years of his career. He says, what did you say to all the people who saw John Cena run to the ring for 20 years wearing a shirt that says never give up? Says Cena gave up. Cena owes the people a why. And at the end of his great eloquent speech, he's going to feel justified. He said, but there's no justification. He starts talking about how Dusty was scared of Philly and how Philly embraced him. And he says Cena, when he won the title, told him that the championship gets heavier every day. Then he starts, mind reading John Cena, saying that Cena thinks that he's the last of his kind. There'll be no others like him, and that all the guys who hold that belt should look like him, talk like him, be like him. But here is Cody Rhodes, who is nothing like John Cena, holding this championship as if it weighs nothing. And says that John Cena wants some, he can come and get some. This was okay. I don't think it was strong enough, though. Part of the reason why this was kind of weak is we don't know what John Cena's emotional state is. We don't know what his thoughts are. So is Cody basically foisting stuff onto John Cena, saying, this is what you think. This is what you believe. You did this, you did that. And Cena's kind of like, I haven't said shit. He said shit about this thing. So basically, he could just do a promo and wipe all of this stuff away and do something completely different. You know, but Cody needed to talk about the moment, I think. Like, it was right to have Cody out there. Cody needed to talk about the moment. But he should have stuck to how he feels about the moment and not trying to drag John Cena's thoughts into the moment. It should have been more like he looked up to John Cena like everybody else did. He is as disappointed in John Cena as everybody else. He doesn't care what John Cena has to say, but he wants to hear what he has to say, why he feels like he needs to do this. He should have addressed The Rock. He should have addressed the black eye that he had. Right? There's some stuff there that he should have done, and he should have been the first to speak on this. But I think that by trying to mind read John Cena and tell everybody what John Cena thinks and all this kind of shit, I'm like, caca. You know, that's caca. Let's cut that part out. Let's bring in the part where Cody is disappointed. His feelings are hurt. He feels betrayed. And basically embody how the fans feel. You know, how those people who feel betrayed by John Cena, be their voice. That's what he needed to do here, I think. And he missed the mark on that. It wasn't a bad promo. It's just, I'm not sure this is the promo that we needed. You know, I don't think we needed to hear about how Dusty was scared of Philly. I don't think we should care about that at this point in time. You've got all the heels like McIntyre and Miz and all these guys running around like, I knew John Cena was an asshole 10 years ago. Cody should have been the guy that says, no, you guys were wrong. You know, I don't believe this is who John Cena is. I think something is wrong with John Cena. You know, I think that something has fractured inside of John Cena. I think blah, 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 blah. But he should not be telling us what John Cena thinks. Do you get what I'm saying? Let John Cena speak for John Cena. The babyface has to be the embodiment of the audience. If the audience is enraged, the babyface should be enraged. If the audience is sad, the babyface should be sad. Because you are speaking, acting upon what we believe or what we're thinking. You're the embodiment of the collective conscious. If you are fiery and up, you know, you're fired up, we will get fired up. Or you're embodying how fired up we are. That's what the Hulkamania stuff was all about, right? In this situation, there's a lot of people who are confused. There's a lot of people who are sad. That's where Cody should have gone with this. Like, is it me? Is it something I did wrong that made John Cena act this way? You know, is it something we did? Did we let John Cena down? You know, then he turned all of this on us? Ask these questions and throw this kind of stuff out there. I know you have to be the champion and you have to be strong, but you got weeks and weeks to do that. At this point in time, you should have just been saying, something is amiss in the universe. I haven't quite fully accepted what happened to me yet. You know, that I think that would have been a better approach to the promo. But overall, it was fine, I guess. It was definitely overshadowed by the Naomi and Bianca stuff, which I think was much better than the Cody Rhodes promo. And that was the best shit on the show. Very strong segment. Let me know what you guys think, and I'll talk to you guys later.